The Pan-Yoruba socio-cultural or political organization Afenifere has sacked the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration and asked them to make policies that would not instigate the country's breakup. Also, it seems probing the actions of the previous government seems to be the norm, as the two new governors are probing the actions of their predecessors. This is Plus Politics, and I am Maryann. Okon. The Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization Afenifere has asked the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration to make policies that would not instigate the country's breakup, following a statement by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, that a breakup is not the solution to Nigeria's problem. Now, Osinbajo had said on Tuesday that a country in Africa had broken up, yet their problems had not been resolved, adding that there was need for institutions in Nigeria to ensure the safety of the citizens whenever they are in Nigeria or wherever. Now, the Afenifere alleged that the federal government had not done anything to avert the breakup of the country. The publicity secretary of the organization, Mr. Yinka, alleged that the federal government was being partial with the treatment of various elements in the country, saying this might lead to a breakup of the country. Now, joining me in the studio to have this conversation, I have the President, Yoruba Council of Youth Worldwide. He's also a legal practitioner, Dotun Hassan. It's good to have you join us.
It is a pleasure to be here.
So coincidentally, you are of the Yoruba Youth Organization Worldwide.
That's the umbrella.
You also
body.
are under this umbrella of Afenifere, I guess.
Yeah, well, this is a separate group.
Yes.
We are independent, and though we have this coalition group that brings all of us together.
Together under one umbrella.
Summit group. We have the Yoruba Unity Forum, so they are closer.
So many, but you all just
bring all of us on the same table. But
so
we are the youth.
Looking at what Odumaki has said and the statement of the Vice President about, I'm sure he was talking about Sudan. Of course, we know what South Sudan and Sudan, they're still having their problems, even after they had, separated and gone their different ways. But should that be the response that the government should be giving on issues as sensitive as this?
Well, basically it's just all about the understanding of our people and what is our foundation in listening, not just hearing each other. When you listen, there is a way you will interpret the views of the other party. Mm-hmm. In the interpretation of law, we have the mischief interpretation, we have the literal rule of interpretation, we have the eggshell rule. Mm-hmm. Mostly, people of diverse opinion tend and tilt towards mischief rule interpretation of opinions, whereby they interpret it in the best colored mode that best suits their own notion, either selfish or general. Mm-hmm. But as it is, there is a need for the polity to be, the tension to be doused down in the polity as far as we are concerned. There are statements that are capable of dismantling the country, not just those that are saying, oh, the policy of government is capable of dividing the nation. It is as if it is a stamp to the division already. No statement that, oh, how do we rescue the views or the issues that are ongoing? It's as if majorly just as far as we are concerned, the blame stop at the desk of Mr. President, not even the Vice President. The Vice President, as far as the nation's constitution is concerned, there's no really hold sway when he talks to the President can remove the Vice President at will. That is as far as our constitution is concerned. So we don't place much responsibility on Mr. Vice President now. Though he's from our home party.
But in one way or the other, he's a spokesperson for the President. He's representing his principle.
Yes, I know. So the principle in vicarious liability is the principle that takes responsibility for whatever the Vice President says. Mm-hmm. But we have to still hold the good government jointly, overtly or covertly, for whatever that is happening as far as the nation is concerned. But what we want to also draw here is that the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has shown a lot of coloration tilting towards a particular region at the expense of the other. And this is an...
I want to play the devil's advocate here. When you say the president has showed colorations, in what ways are you referring
well,
to?
Listen to us. From 2015 to 2019, that is, it witnessed a height of, let's say, political nepotism. In reality, to the extent that almost, even till date, almost every positions of authority that holds sway in government is in the north. So, and majorly, every impact of governance, from the president looking for oil in the deserts, in the northeast, with a huge investment, when the country is bleeding, to pay the medical doctors, to pay lecturers who are out of school, they're on strike. The president was busy spending billions of dollars looking for oil, when we still have enough oil that are yet to be maximized in other regions.
But he brings to bear the issue of Nigerians asking questions.
Yes.
Because there are people who are in Mr. President's cabinet or members of his political party. Why have these questions, who are not necessarily from the north, why are these issues not brought up with Mr. President? Because before these monies are being voted to those places, there are people who give a nod to it.
Let me say something. If our democracy were to be practically in line with dictates of rules of democracy, and that is rule of law. Rule of law has not been part of this administration. To the blind can view that. Why Mr. President award or a veto $1 billion at the same time the same president Abinishon, when they were coming into government, veto $200 million for the war against terrorism. There are other monies that were vetoed without even going through the legislative consideration, without even looking at what is the totality of our budget. How do we, what does that fall in our excess supplementary budget, or who or where? So there is no proper appropriation. That on its own is a negation of rule of law. So if you have to look at the anomalies that is already in the government, it's best define the views of the Afenifere. That the country is tilting towards breakers. The country, the cries and the hate and every other thing is as if there is a covert somewhere. So, but what we have to be doing, we have to play a lot of looking beyond the present, and let us see how best can we begin to repair. If you don't have that mindset of repairing, now you are considering the fact that a total full-blown war will survive you and I, or either the person that is drumming the beat of war. We are still in a manageable, critical state, that our situation is not as worse as Sudan. Let nobody situate us to those countries. Our orientation differs from those
Hence
countries.
my question at the beginning, because there have been several issues that have come up on insecurity and the divisiveness that we see, that the lines are more and more, defined. And every time the presidency responds, the response is not the kind of response that we're hoping for. So it begs the question, who are Mr. President's advisors or handlers, especially when it comes to communication to the people that you lead? We have to face the reality. We cannot continue to be deceitful with the truth henceforth again. The fact that Mr. President and the cabals, different from the administration, there is a conduit operation different from the appointees of Mr. President. In the government, you don't dictate to your masters. You only advise. You can take the word of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. He said, "I'm not bound by the advice of my heads or the ministers or all that." So there's nothing that really bans the president on whatever anybody. But he, as a leader, needs to show commitment to the people. The people, if the peoples come first, not the regional, his own sect, his own region, his own people from, or those that shares these principles alone. This is now a national issue. The issue of insecurity has a date. The presidency, even the totality of the executive,
have played a more complicit role that aids and abets the criminality festering, promoting their criminality, viewing the fact that they are above the law, because at any given point in time that there is an unleashed terror in a particular region, especially when it's now on our own part here within the southwest. The recent killings and taking over farms from Ekiti to all those places, at any point that issue has now raised, the spokesman of the country goes further to defend the criminals, not even holding them to ransom that, oh, these people from this part of the region, yes, they are suspecting that, oh, Fulani herdsmen and all that. Yes, now we have to be removing the name of and toga of Fulani out of it, because that is a synonymous to a particular race. No, but at the same time, how much have that raised? How much has the people, big names or political wigs or people that are properly orientated, how much have they been able to condemn these ills? So this is like an admittance of crime. When Mr. Presidency spokesperson come to the fore and say, oh, the people that perpetrated this evil are not herdsmen, they are criminals and armed robbers, they are these are more or less not looking for the criminals. These have not been able to tell us these are the actual people that perpetrate this evil, and it is not a one-shot crime. It is almost happening day in, day out, as if these people are spirit. No. Once we can come up with a national policy plan that looks at criminals beyond the fact that no one is above the law, as at that level we can begin to talk about holding ourselves to the jugular, that if anybody breaks the law, then let him go for it. So not for.
Let's go back to what Yinka Odumakin, the publicity secretary of Afenifere, said, and I quote, "What are they doing to prevent a breakup? The president said yesterday that Abiola would have solved the ethnic and religious problems in Nigeria. Why are they not solving it? Why are they doing all kinds of things that can divide the country?" So it makes me ask, this is a good question he's asking, but I'm also asking, is it that there's a dearth of ideas on how to solve this issue? Is it that there are no smart people that can help us in terms of fighting insecurity, strategizing on what to do to blur the lines that we already have that are obvious? Or what exactly could it be? Because he's asking almost the same question.
Well, you and I know Nigeria is the most blessed nation as far as when you talk about world intellect, when you talk about people of sound minds, when you talk about people that are internationally accredited in giving advisories. Then where do we fail? Where do we fall short of these ideas, this conglomerate of people that we can easily just call, not just those that are political and politics. Somehow, if you design your nation critically with those that you can easily call to provide solution, economists, political analysts, to come, even critics. But this is a nation that people hate. Maybe it's an African syndrome. They hate to be corrected or neither to even be pointed towards the light. So for avoidance of doubt, one of the killers disease and most worrisome syndrome is the way and manner we manage our opposition party system. It's as if somebody is here to enter into a physical duel every day. Nothing good comes out of this Nazareth. Everything that comes out of this government must be condemned every day. So it's in as much as that has always been a recurrent decimal.
So you're admitting that this is not a Buhari problem, it's a Nigerian problem.
So it's a Nigerian problem. So, but it is more now advanced now in this Buhari administration. Yes, when Jonathan was there, you condemn me that there will be changes overnight. There will still be some way it's going to tilt towards that's your demand. The demand might not be totally as adopted, but there must still be some semblance of human face. But this government, in one way or the other, has shown a lot of crisscross in dealing or dilly-dallying or playing some deceitful role in being more as like, being the piper, dictating the tune, and also being the advocate, also trying to nail up even, a lot of things are here. So if the government is serious we don't need too much of our bloated advisories. We know our problems. There are national policy statements.
Do we really know our problems?
We know our
because
problems.
If we do, we probably would be seeking solutions or even
Let me tell you something.
Doing something about it.
I sometimes ago, I ran for a National Assembly election. Why did I run? I took heed to most of our Olowo credos and philosophy of going into politics, of governance, or what are those things that prompted it. Each time I sit back and I rest on my note and I see that, yes, the nation can be good beyond where we are. All that we need is the will and the sensitization of our people. One thing is critical here. Nigerians are not part of governance daily. Nigerians are more like a spectator. The only time Nigerians are more impactful to governance is a 4-year rituals of election. Beyond election, Nigeria becomes spectators.
And what do you think is responsible for that? What do you think is responsible for us being outside of governance?
That is one of the key things. Let me now tell you one of our ailments. The ailment is that we refuse to accept the truth. We don't have a new people's constitution. We don't have a room whereby there is a national plebiscite and referendum commission that the people can contribute in policy, in guiding policy of government, in ensuring that, oh, this policy, let us, before the National Assembly makes up or pass a vote on critical national issues that has to go down with the Constitution. That's why our Constitution needs to be flexible in
how many average Nigerians are really interested in government policies or how it affects them?
Because
what's the percentage?
Those foundation learnings that ought to breed this state of mind or try to orientate our people are not there. What makes America great is that every average pupil knows more about the nation's history. It's been taught about government, it's been taught about heart of war, it's been taught about discipline. If you go, so they know how to really breed themselves. So if you have a national policy plan, how many of our people even know the Constitution? How many of our people even read? So if we all know the Constitution and the pastor, the imams, and everybody sees the Constitution as a Bible, an average man on the street knows they are right and is properly interpreted, but this thing, nobody will be talking so archaic in auto ethnic, playing the ethnic drum, because there will not be ethnic faith again. Everybody will come on the same table, we discuss our issue. So year in, year out, if you still maintain this type of sit-tight approach to power, or power corrupt and absolute power corrupt absolutely, we will not get somewhere. If the government is ready, it's not about national dialogue first. There must be a local dialogue summit through Constituent Assembly. The government in democracy, there is, aside from the checks and balances, there is also supposed to be confluence in whereby the National Assembly and the executive needs to hold themselves like a parliamentary system. The situation about Nigeria is that we don't even understand our system of government. Where do we tilt? We operate a parliamentary in the face of when the parliament are oversighting the executive. It presumes mainly like a parliamentary system of government, but there is no actual position of watchword or somebody watching the doer of a crime. Because when how you get that is that look at how our National Assembly begin to pursue juicy committees. They are looking for the juicy committee, and that's one of our problem. They are looking for a juicy committee to know who is the minister there, so that they will be part and parcel of that structure. Not even oversighting now. Nothing is being oversight upon, because the role of oversighting is being short-lived, because everybody is now looking for juicy thing that, oh, if I'm done this with this committee of aviation, yeah, I can easily call the minister, I can easily go to FAN, bring my people there. So far, anything that comes from my table to that committee,
but I go back to the question I asked earlier. We must have created a lacuna of sorts. We must have created a foundation for these politicians, these leaders, to take advantage of the fact that we're docile, we are not interested, so they could do whatever. Yeah. And even if we do scream about it, we will go to bed after a while and sweep it under the carpet as usual.
Yeah.
So maybe we also play a role in how, I don't know, I'm looking for the best word to describe it, how bold they are, bold-faced these politicians are in doing things that they ought not to do.
You know, one thing about us is that we are lukewarm in dealing with our ailments. We are too docile. Not even just docile. We're extremely docile in handling our problems, in concentrating conscientiously, dealing with our problems. How do you deal with your problem? Is today you're talking about it. You are looking out for solution. Tomorrow you are already gauging, monitoring, and also looking towards arriving at an end. But the reason that a lot of predicament that is bedeviling us, poverty. One critical poverty is the poverty of the mind. Our people lack orientation. Once the orientation is not there, we have averagely political illiterates. 90% of Nigerians are politically illiterate. I'm not without much ado. How? Nigerians are good to condemn in the media. Afenifere will come with issues on Aheze, Miyetti Allah, everybody bring up issues. It's as if everybody is just good at drumming their lamentations. We are too critical and well-based in discussing the problems. But when it comes about solution, nobody is ready to concentrate. Nobody is ready to give our time. Nobody is ready to now say, what am I putting on the table? What's going to make me...
But isn't tribalism also a role in all of this? If we were not divided along these very obvious lines of tribalism, ethnicity, religion, probably these politicians would not be able to take advantage of these lines. Again, I'm repeating the question.
You know one thing?
If we were people together and not say, oh, you're from the West, I'm from the South. Because, for example, the average American says, I'm an American. No, and then when you probe further, he says, oh, I'm from Texas.
I beg to differ. Let me tell you something. The worst of our people, the way we treat ourselves, I always situate it like to an animal farm situation. Coming home without the intertribal ethnic bigotry. We already have intra-bigotry well entrenched in us. Come to the Yoruba land today. It's not as much as we love each other that we are not exploiting our affinity for our progress. We are not exploiting our intellectual prowess to a national cause. We are not exploiting our traditional institution to a growth of a nationhood. We are not putting all the nitty-gritty and critical sectors, the economy, the business, everyone that needs their hands to come to the table to salvage just commonly issues. One, poverty, education, health. These are things that average individual corporations are doing in America. They don't need government. So once we now leave out, if you love yourself first as thy neighbor, then who is thy neighbor? Those that live around you first. You then begin to think about your extended neighbor. So as far as the home is concerned, it's not properly predicated on love, unity, and that. So what we have to now look at is that what's our melting point? You know, one of the most important melting point that glued us in Nigeria is sport, football. When you look at the football, then we are united in our neurons to all go back and see if the nation is growing or not. But once that is left on the hook, what else divides us? Money, corruption, position, political party, church, mosques, and all that. Bottom
line, as we lay a bed, that's how we're going to lie on it. They always say that the people are a reflection, or the government is a reflection of its people. So if we do right, I'm guessing that we will be able to hold our government accountable. Yes. Well, I want to say thank you to you, Dr. Hassan. He's also the President, Yoruba Council of Youth Worldwide. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll be speaking about the ongoing battle between the probing of previous governors. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.